At dawn, the city breathes before the sun, a hush between the last star and the first call, and there he walks where ordinary feet have been, a prince whose shadow bends to greet the wall. No trumpet splits the morning into gold, no curtain lifts to stage his careful stride. He steps where teacups steam on wooden stalls, and listens where the working hearts confide. The crown is quiet, resting in his gaze, not loud with gems, not heavy on his head. It shines instead in how he names each face, in how he knows the places hope has fled. He greets the baker kneading warmth and bread, the driver tracing roads with tired hands, the child who learns the alphabet of dreams, the elder counting time like grains of sand. He carries dust upon his morning shoes, the same brown dust that stains the city's hem, and in that dust he reads the common book, where every life has written out a gem. A prince who walks, not towers over days, who measures power by the miles he goes, who hears the whispers under crowded noise, and names the hurts that few have dared disclose. He does not borrow distance from the guards, nor trade his breath for windows dark and wide. He trades instead a greeting, hand to hand, and finds a nation standing at his side. In markets where the bargaining is hope, he learns the price of patience, grain, and rain. He learns how hunger sharpens honest prayers, and how a smile can soften years of pain. He sits where stories simmer into truth, on cracked stone steps and humble plastic chairs, and listens like the earth listens to roots, with steady silence, open, unprepared. The people do not bow to distant light. They rise because he walks where they have stood. They see themselves reflected in his path, a shared belief in what a heart can do. He walks through streets where yesterday still lives, where laughter echoes from unfinished walls, where dreams are stitched from simple, stubborn threads, and hope survives despite the nightly falls. He knows the names of neighborhoods by heart, not as lines on a map drawn far away, but as breathing places, scarred and strong, that teach him how a nation learns to stay. When rain forgets the promise of the sky, he hears it first in fields that start to crack, in farmers' eyes that search the clouds for mercy, in prayers that lean on faith and do not lack. He kneels to touch the soil with open palms, as if to say, "Your struggle lives in me." And from that ground he gathers honest vows, to guard the future like a sacred key. He walks in hospitals where silence weighs, where time is measured by a patient's breath. He stands beside the beds of fragile hope and looks unblinking at the face of death. No speech is needed there, no crafted line, just presence, calm as water in a cup, a hand that says, "You are not alone." A promise stitched in silence, holding up. In schools he listens more than he instructs, to questions bright with curiosity. He sees tomorrow rising in young eyes, unshaped, unafraid, and longing to be free. He tells them knowledge is a shared lamp that burns the brightest when passed hand to hand, that wisdom grows when roots are deep in truth, and dreams must walk before they learn to stand. At night, he walks where neon lights pretend, where noise disguises hunger, fear, and loss. He hears the quiet suffering beneath, and counts each wound no fortune could emboss. He speaks to workers bent by endless hours, to women carrying worlds behind their eyes, to men whose pride is heavy as their labor, yet still they greet the dawn before it rises. He learns that justice is a living thing, not carved in stone nor locked in distant halls. It breathes in how the weakest are upheld, in how a nation answers when one falls. He walks with patience slower than the crowd, refusing shortcuts paved with borrowed pride, for he believes the road that serves the most is where a leader's truth is best applied. When anger roars like fire through the streets, he does not fuel it with a louder flame. He walks into its center with calm steps, and calls its fury gently by its name. He listens until rage becomes a wound, until the shouting learns the shape of pain. And then he speaks, not as a distant judge, but as a brother standing in the rain. In moments when the crown feels hard to bear, when weight of duty presses on his chest, he remembers footsteps walking side by side and knows that shared roads give the strongest rest. He is not made of legend alone, but of long days and choices hard and plain, of sleepless nights and questions without rest, of hope rebuilt again and yet again. A prince who walks does not escape the dust. He wears it like a badge of honest care, for dust remembers every human step and teaches power how to kneel in prayer. The people do not cheer a distant star. They walk beside a man of flesh and breath. They trust him not because he cannot fall, but because he walks with them through depth. Morning returns like a faithful promise, and once again his footsteps meet the day, not carried by applause or golden doors, but by the simple need to lead the way. He walks where rivers teach the land to wait, where bridges hold the weight of passing lives. He learns how patience shapes the flow of time, and how connection keeps a nation alive. In courts of law, he listens before words, knowing that justice deafened is untrue. He reads the law through human consequence, and weighs each rule by what it means to you. He knows that power without mercy breaks, that strength without compassion turns to stone, so he allows his heart to feel the cost of every choice that bears his name alone. He walks among the artists and the poor, where colors bloom despite the narrow space. He sees how beauty survives harsh walls, and how a song can heal a crowded place. He stops to hear the poet on the street, whose verses rise like birds without a cage, and learns that truth can travel farther still when spoken simply, honestly, and brave. At funerals he stands without a crown, a silent witness wrapped in human grief, sharing the weight of loss with gentle eyes, offering presence, not escape or relief. He knows that death does not respect a rank. It comes for all with equal steady hand, and so he walks as one who understands that life is loaned, not owned by any land. He walks through times of celebration too, where joy spills freely in the open air. He dances not above the crowd's delight, but within it, laughing, unaware of care. Children run ahead and call his name, not with fear but with fearless delight, for they have learned his nearness means safety, a walking promise, warm and bright. He learns from mothers how courage is born, in quiet rooms before the world can see, in sacrifices made without applause, in love that asks for nothing, yet stays free. He learns from elders how history breathes, through wrinkled hands and slow, deliberate speech, that progress must remember where it came from, or risk forgetting what it seeks to reach. When storms arrive and plans begin to shake, he does not hide behind a title's wall. He steps into the wind with steady feet and lets the people see him stand or fall. Because a leader's strength is not in masks, but in the courage to be fully seen, to walk with truth when answers are unclear, and choose the good where comfort might have been. He walks the long road of responsibility, where praise and blame are both too quick to rise. He learns to hear the quiet, truer voice that lives beyond the noise of cheering cries. A prince who walks becomes a mirror held, reflecting back the best the people are, inviting them to rise to shared belief, to shine together brighter than one star. As seasons turn their quiet, patient wheel, he walks through change the way the earth allows, not forcing spring before the winter ends, but trusting roots beneath the frozen ground. He understands that waiting is a skill, that haste can wound what time is meant to heal, so he moves forward with attentive steps, letting tomorrow rise when it is real. He walks where faith and doubt sit side by side, where questions kneel beside unfinished prayers. He does not mock the trembling of belief. He knows the strongest souls are often bare. In houses built of hope and fragile walls, he drinks the tea of stories poured with care, and listens as the past explains itself, through laughter mixed with sorrow in the air. He learns that pride can wear a humble coat, that dignity survives in modest rooms, that greatness grows where people choose to stand, and not where marble echoes empty blooms. He walks with patience through the tangled knots of cultures braided tight with memory, respecting difference not as a threat, but as the proof of shared humanity. He knows a nation is a living song, composed of many voices, tones, and truths, and harmony is not the loss of self, but finding unity in varied roots. When borders speak in the language of fear, he answers first with listening and care. For peace begins when someone dares to walk across the lines drawn by despair. He walks with soldiers bearing unseen weight, who guard the night so others greet the dawn. He honors not just medals on their chests, but quiet scars that linger when they're gone. He walks with those who lost their way to war, with families waiting for a knock or call, and holds their grief as part of his own oath, a vow to value peace above it all. In times of hunger, when the table thins, he feels the absence in the common meal, and knows that leadership must taste the lack before it ever claims a wound is healed. He walks with laborers at break of day, when muscles ache before the sun is high, and learns how effort shapes an honest life, how sweat becomes a form of quiet cry. He walks through cities climbing toward the sky, through villages that rest against the land. He measures growth not only by the height, but by the lives improved from hand to hand. He understands that progress must include the ones who fear they're left behind by time, for roads that rush ahead without the rest become a line that fractures, not a line. He walks through failure with unbroken will, not hiding when a promise falls apart. He gathers lessons from the broken pieces and builds again with wiser hands and heart. He does not claim perfection as his shield. He claims responsibility instead, for people follow truth more than a myth and trust the one who walks where they have bled. A prince who walks leaves footprints in the dust, but deeper still, he leaves a way to choose. He teaches power how to walk as well, and shows a nation nothing's left to lose. The people learn that leadership is near, not locked behind a gate or scripted line. It breathes among them, shaped by shared concern, a living promise, human and divine. The years move softly, leaving marks unseen, yet every step he takes is counted true, not by the clocks that measure passing hours, but by the lives his presence carries through. He walks through moments history will frame, when choices bend the arc of what will be, and feels the weight of futures yet unborn, resting quietly on what he dares to see. He learns that silence can be guidance too, that not all answers need a spoken form. Some truths arrive like dawn without a sound, and change the world by simply being warm. He walks through corridors of urgent news, where fear is packaged, sold, and amplified, and chooses calm as an act of quiet strength, refusing panic as a place to hide. He speaks with clarity when words must land, not sharpened blades but bridges made of tone, aware that language shapes the common ground, and every sentence seeds what may be grown. He walks beside the young who feel unseen, who scroll through dreams and doubt their worth at night. He reminds them that belonging is not earned, it is a birthright, steady, strong, and bright. He walks with those who stumble in the dark, addiction, shame, or sorrow in their wake. He does not turn away from fractured souls. He knows how long it takes a heart to break. He walks where prisons hold forgotten names and asks not only who they were before, but who they might yet be if given space, if mercy opened just one hopeful door. He understands that safety without care can harden into fear that locks us tight, so he designs a justice that can heal, and guard the innocent without losing sight. He walks through halls of science and of faith, where questions bloom like stars in endless skies. He honors reason, reverence, and doubt. Knowing truth is wider than one guise. He walks with healers searching for a cure, with teachers shaping futures in a room, with builders lifting cities from the sand, with farmers trusting seeds to fight the gloom. He learns that work is prayer in motion made, when done with honesty and steady care, that dignity is born in useful hands, and purpose grows wherever people dare. He walks through nights when loneliness is loud, when leaders feel the echo of their role, and finds his anchor in remembered faces, the living compass pointing to the whole. He does not chase the comfort of applause, nor fear the echo of a critical cry. He measures worth by quieter returns, by fewer tears and more who learn to try. He walks with humility as daily bread, aware how swiftly fortune turns its tide, and keeps his promises close to the ground, where truth can walk and never needs to hide. A prince who walks becomes a shared horizon, not something owned, but something people see, a moving line where hope and effort meet and shape a future built collectively. The people walking too begin to learn that change is not delivered from above, it grows from feet that choose the common road, from countless acts of courage, care, and love. And so the story widens with each step, beyond the prince, beyond the present hour, a living lesson written on the land. True leadership is walking shared as power.